Beloved, chosen one, your spirit was drawn to this precise moment by a divine pull. You couldn't resist a holy summons from the very throne of grace. That striking 222, blazing on the thumbnail, seized your attention and compelled you to click, didn't it? In scripture and Christian life, 222 signals perfect alignment, divine harmony, and the Trinity's confirmation that you are exactly where God intends, chosen and contended for in the unseen realm. This is no coincidence. It's a heavenly decree announcing a fierce battle for your soul and destiny. You're not overlooked. You're the prize both light and darkness are vying to claim, and someone just shattered the silence with truth that will leave you breathless. Why did you click? Is your heart pounding because you sense the spiritual clash unfolding over your life? This message unveils the staggering reality they're fighting over you right now, and the one who finally spoke will astonish you. Stay until the end. Your clarity and crown depend on it. Press like subscribe to unite with chosen ones everywhere, and comment 222 below with your city or country to proclaim you're awake, marked, and ready. Let's reveal who's battling for you today. Tonight, heaven isn't subtle, it's roaring. The same Spirit who hovered over the waters at creation is now hovering over your life, about to bring order, clarity, and breakthrough. You were not overlooked. You were hidden for this exact moment. Before you were born, your name was spoken in heaven. Your purpose was sealed not with ink, but with fire. No betrayal, no delay, no rejection has voided what God ordained. And now the silence you've endured is giving way to divine sound. The heavens are declaring your release. All the tears, the long nights, the seasons of invisibility. They weren't punished, they were preparing. Like Joseph in prison, like David in the cave. Hidden places were holy places. God forged what the crowd could not see. You weren't being left behind. You were being forged in fire for a purpose bigger than your pain. This isn't a mere breakthrough, it's your exodus, the kind that doesn't unfold slowly. It erupts, the kind where chains don't slip off quietly, they shatter. The struggle hasn't been your identity, it's been your initiation. Every prayer you whispered when no one was listening. Every time you stood when it would have been easier to quit, heaven recorded it all. Not one sacrifice was wasted. Tonight marks the line where survival ends and assignment begins. The pressure, the warfare, the delay. It was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to position you. Your spirit knows it. The trembling inside you isn't fear. It's alignment. You're not entering with an apology. You're entering with authority. You're not asking for permission. You're walking through what's already been unlocked. Like Paul and Silas, you've worshipped in prison. And now, the ground is shaking not from destruction, but from deliverance. The foundation is moving because your next level cannot be built on what used to hold you back. God is tearing down the limiting beliefs, the small thinking, and the old cycles. You're being reformed, reshaped, recommissioned. This is what Jeremiah chapter 18 looks like in motion. The potter worked the clay again. The same hands that shaped you before are shaping you now. Not for survival, but for significance. You will outrun what delayed you. You will overtake what once overtook you, not because of effort, but because of divine endorsement. God is not just restoring what was lost. He's redeeming the time, the years that were swallowed by fear, failure, and fatigue. He's multiplying them into sudden gain. Think of Peter pulling in nets so full of fish after one command that they almost burst. Or the widow with nothing left but oil, discovering that surrender unlocks overflow. This is your divine pivot. You've spent a decade praying for timing. But tonight, timing meets obedience. God isn't just answering your cries, He's fulfilling His word suddenly, supernaturally, unmistakably. And the old version of you, the one shaped by scarcity, doubt, and delay, that version has served its purpose, but it can't go where you're headed. You're not rising because you fought your way in. You're rising because God spoke your name. Like Esther, your preparation has collided with your appointment. And now what used to intimidate you is about to recognize you. This is not just a comeback. This is a takeoff. The vaults of heaven are opening with provision. Yes. And also with vision, wisdom, and strategies that turn pain into purpose. The world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you, the one heaven has refined in silence. This is the turning point, the quiet seasons, the hidden years, the pain behind the smile. All of it is being repurposed. Your story, like Sarah Jakes Roberts, is not just for your healing. It's about leading others out of what almost took you under. You were never meant to stay small. You were meant to stand up, shine bright, and carry weight. Not for applause, for impact. God is not finished with you. In fact, He's just getting started. So pause for a moment. Breathe it in. What's unfolding around you is not random. It's restoration. What felt like delay was always design. God isn't simply repaying you for what was lost. He's redeeming time itself. The famine you've walked through is being replaced with a feast. And this isn't charity. This is compensation. You've been faithful when nothing made sense. You tithed when you barely had enough. You sowed seeds in silence while others laughed. But now the tide is turning. The weight of lack is lifting. This is not emotional hype. It's divine justice. The same God who sustained Elijah with bread from ravens is now shifting your financial story with supernatural precision. Not just income overflow, not just provision, kingdom strategy ideas, partnerships, restored inheritances, hidden doors unlocking. The Lord who provides precisely and on time. You once asked, why has it been so hard for so long? But now the answer is clear. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The wilderness was your training ground, like Hannah crying in the temple while others misunderstood her desperation. Your prayers weren't ignored, they were planting the future. And tonight, the heavens aren't whispering, they're declaring. The shift is prophetic. What you cried for in secret you are about to carry in full view. Not as revenge, but as a revelation. This is not about proving yourself. This is about walking in what was always yours. You've been dismissed, overlooked, counted out. But so was Gideon before he led an army with only 300 men. So was Ruth before Boaz saw her faithfulness in the field. Their elevation didn't come by chasing recognition. It came by staying obedient in obscurity. That's been you. Quiet, consistent, overlooked. But now, the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is raising you into visibility, influence, and spiritual authority. Your voice won't be silenced anymore. Not by systems, not by scarcity, not by self-doubt. When you walk into the room, atmospheres will shift, not because of volume, but because of presence. The season of sowing and survival is over. You are now stepping into supernatural acceleration. The kind of increase that doesn't make sense on paper, but aligns perfectly with the promises of God. Joel chapter 2 verse 25 confirms, I will repay you for the years the locusts have eaten. And it's not just repayment, it's reversal. Those who once mocked you will soon marvel. The very doors that slammed in your face are now being opened without you knocking. Your story has been hidden but not forgotten. Like the Ark of Noah, it's been built in silence, ridiculed by many. But now it will rise on the waters it was prepared for. Yes, you've suffered, you've cried, you've endured the ache of invisibility. But like Daniel in the lion's den, like Mary Magdalene at the empty tomb, you've stayed close to God through it all. And now, He's unveiling what He's been preparing behind the curtain. You are not stepping forward as the same person. This is not a minor lift. This is a launch. God is not just releasing resources. He's releasing revelation, and with it comes clarity, confidence, and calling. You're no longer trying to fit into spaces that couldn't hold your vision. You are being positioned where your voice, your story, and your anointing can finally be recognized, not by man, but by God's orchestration. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 12 mentions, the Lord will open the heavens, the storehouse of His bounty, to bless all the work of your hands. And that's exactly what He's doing. Heaven is moving not slowly, but suddenly. What once felt unreachable is now rushing toward you. So let the mockers fall silent. Let the doubters watch. You don't need to defend what God is about to demonstrate. Just as Mordecai was honored in front of those who once tried to hang him, Your story is being rewritten in real time for glory, not revenge. This isn't the end of your story. It's the part where the curtain rises and purpose takes center stage. You are not just rising, you are reigning, and the crown you wear, it's not for vanity. It's for victory. You've leaned on people who weren't built to carry you. Trusted relationships that left you emptier than before. And somewhere in the silence of your disappointment, you whispered, "Why do those I trust break me the most?" But tonight, this holy night, heaven responds. God is stripping away every false dependency, not to punish you, but to set you free. Free from needing validation from broken vessels, free to rise anchored in nothing but Him, because when God becomes your only source, everything shifts. Psalm chapter 23 verse 1 affirms, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." That's not poetic comfort, it's a spiritual truth. When your soul is tethered to God alone, fear loses its grip. Insecurity dissolves, and the pressure to perform or prove fades in His presence. This is not abandonment, it's alignment. God is reclaiming the throne of your heart. He's reminding you that your strength was never in people. It was in Him. You were never a victim. You're a vessel chosen to carry glory, not guilt. And now 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7 proclaims over you, God has not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You're not walking out bitter, you're walking out bolder. This is your Independence Day, not from responsibility, but from the illusions that held you captive. Trauma may have written your early pages, but truth is now holding the pen. You're not rebuilding the old. You're becoming something entirely new. Isaiah chapter 43 verse 19 echoes now louder than ever. "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" What's unfolding is not just restoration, it's reinvention. Relationships will shift. Finances will overflow. Your mind, once tormented, will be sound. Health, vision, and purpose are returning not as recovery, but as resurrection. You will not look like what you've walked through. The pain shaped you, but it will not define you. Like Job, who lost everything but found double in the end. Job chapter 42 verse 10. You are stepping into a season that restores beyond reason. But before you clear your schedule, clear your soul. Make room not just physically but emotionally for the life you asked God for. It's here, not approaching arrived. Think of Lisa Beverer, once buried under shame and fear, now a global voice of truth and freedom. Not because she polished her pain, but because she surrendered it. That same grace is working in you now, not to hide your past, but to transform it into a platform. Tonight, heaven interrupts history. One breath from God is enough to undo 10 years of hidden grief, confusion, and survival. What felt like the end is becoming a beginning so profound, you'll wonder if the sorrow was ever real. This is not a turning point. This is transfiguration. You've endured flames meant to destroy, yet here you stand refined, not ruined. Your survival isn't luck, it's prophecy fulfilled. Galatians chapter 6 verse 9 was never a suggestion. It was a promise. Do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you shall reap if you do not give up. This is your due season. Chains are breaking even now. Fear, shame, scarcity, addiction. And when the world asks how you changed, you won't need to explain. You'll simply say, God showed up. This isn't fiction. It's your release. Trauma tried to etch its mark in stone, but grace has come to rewrite your name. Think of Christine Kane, labeled voiceless, abandoned, abused, now speaking life across nations. Her past didn't disqualify her. It proved her. What if your years in the shadows weren't delayed but divine strategy? Like David, overlooked by men but handpicked by God. Or like Rahab, marked by her past but remembered for her faith. When God moves, He bypasses protocols. This isn't about earthly qualifications. This is about heaven's call. You're not just rising, you're being revealed. The labels placed on you too late, too broken, not enough are being shattered under the weight of God's truth. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 10. now rests over your shoulders. After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. The shaking you feel isn't chaos, it's construction. Heaven is rearranging your identity, uprooting lies, and silencing voices that never had the authority to define you. So don't explain it. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. Walk in it. You didn't earn this by effort. You received it through endurance. The world didn't see your battles, but God did. And now He's skipping the gatekeepers and coming directly to you. This shift isn't about your name being known. It's about His name being glorified through your transformation. You're not just carrying a testimony. You are the testimony. The weight of your obedience, your persistence in silent seasons is now tipping the scale of heaven's response. Ephesians chapter 3 verse 20 is not theory. It's happening. Now to Him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. God is doing more, much more, because you believed when it hurt. You stayed when it was easier to leave. You worshipped without applause. Like Abraham walking toward an invisible promise. Like Esther preparing for a moment she couldn't see. Your faith has aligned with God's perfect timing. Now comes the flood, not just for you, but for generations. Psalm chapter 112 promises your children will be mighty in the land. Why? Because you fought in faith while they slept in peace. You warred so they could walk in freedom. Let the rain fall, let the weight lift. This is overflowing. You will recognize it in the subtle signs. Peace where there was panic, where despair once whispered lies into your mornings. Now joy commands your steps. Where anxiety haunts your nights, peace has taken up residence. This is a divine exchange. Ashes for beauty, sorrow for joy, silence for authority. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 3 speaks clearly to give them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. You're not escaping darkness anymore. You are becoming light, and light doesn't ask for permission. It takes up space. You were once overlooked, forgotten, passed over. But now, heaven is turning the page. You're being positioned where decisions are made, where legacies are shaped. You used to cry out for help. Now you carry answers. You searched for direction. Now others will find clarity in your voice. This is not subtle. It's not quiet. It echoes. Your rise carries the sound of redemption. The gifts you buried under trauma are awakening. The voice that once trembled is now thundering with truth. The purpose that hid in shadows is stepping forward, clothed in fire and laced with glory. You're not crawling out of the storm. You're walking out, crowned. This is spiritual dominion, not for show, but for impact, like Joshua entering the promised land. The ground you're now walking on is land you once only saw in prayer. Joshua chapter 1 verse 3 states, "Every place the sole of your foot treads I have given you. You didn't get here through striving. You got here through surviving, through nights no one saw, through pain no one clapped for, through silence that forged your soul. And now, like Esther stepping out of preparation into power, you are standing in the fullness of time. This isn't just victory, it's vindication. The world labeled you by your scars, but like Joyce Meyer, whose story of abuse became a global voice of healing, your scars are now your scepter. What tried to silence you is now your stage. The pain no longer speaks louder than your calling. The old version of you, timid, uncertain, wounded, is gone. And in its place stands one who has been forged in holy fire. Tonight marks the breaking of delay. What was stuck is now moving. What was denied is now being delivered. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 2 speaks this over you. All these blessings will come upon you and overtake you. This is not trickling favor. It's a downpour. You once held dreams in secret. Now you'll hold them in your hands. What was whispered in prayer is thundering into visibility. God is not bound by clocks or calendars. He is bound only by covenant. And the covenant says your wait was never in vain. Let go of striving. Position yourself in surrender. The harvest isn't coming through hustle. It's arriving through alignment. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 is alive in this moment in all things. God works for the good of those who love him, who are called according to his purpose. You fought long, too long, but the final battle is over, not postponed, finished. The enemy tried every tactic, confusion, betrayal, delay, but it didn't work. You're still standing. And not only standing, you're stronger. Your spirit has outlived every storm. Like the three in the fire from Daniel chapter 3, you walked through flames and didn't burn. Why? Because there was another in the fire with you. Your heart stayed soft when it could have gone cold. You chose mercy over bitterness, love over revenge, and heaven honors that. Now the scars become your platform. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 7 to 8 declares it over you. I have fought the good fight. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness. You're not limping into victory. You're dancing into it. You're not crawling out. You're breaking forth like a prisoner unshackled. Exodus chapter 14, verse 14 is your anthem. The Lord will fight for you. You need only be still. The spiritual warfare you once knew as routine is now being replaced by rest. The cycle is broken, the ceiling shattered, the labels erased. You're not small, and you were never meant to play small. When you move now, territory responds. This isn't pride, it's an inheritance. Romans chapter 8, verse 17 reminds us, now if we are children, then we are heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ. You no longer wait for permission. You walk when heaven speaks, and heaven is speaking now. So rise not just as a survivor, but as an ascendant one. Your presence carries weight. Your voice carries deliverance. You don't echo anymore. You announce. Think of Bishop Vashti Mackenzie, the first female bishop in a space that once denied her voice. She didn't rise for the spotlight. She rose for legacy. So will you. You are not just being elevated. You are being unveiled. Every broken piece of your story is being stitched into a masterpiece. God never wastes pain. He used broken bread to feed thousands. He used a broken cross to save the world. And now, he's using your brokenness to reveal his glory. Psalm chapter 34, verse 18 affirms, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. What disqualified you in your eyes has qualified you in his. You weren't discarded, you were distilled, and now the hiding is over. The world that saw you crawl will watch you fly. This is not fiction, it's fulfillment. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 22 states, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. The time is now. Don't let public favor make you forget your private altar. You were not called to fame, you were called to faithfulness. Stay rooted in the presence that rebuilt you. Stay humble in the glory that surrounds you. This isn't about being seen. It's about being sent. So here you are, standing not in hesitation, but in holy momentum. You're not stepping into favor for visibility. You're stepping into your fire-forged assignment. This is not pride, it's purpose. Not performance, but positioning. God didn't refine you in pain to leave you hidden. What once crushed you has now shaped the vessel that carries his power. You're not defined by what broke you, but by who rebuilt you. This moment is not about improving the version of you that people tolerate. It's about stepping fully into the you God always intended. The bold, healed, unshakable version formed in fire, held together by faith, and released in power. The waiting is over. The wondering is behind you. Purpose is no longer something you chase. It has found you, followed you, and now it's welcoming you in. You're not entering with caution, you're entering with clarity. You've moved from hoping to holding, from praying to possessing, from barely surviving to commanding the space that once overwhelmed you. Deuteronomy chapter 11 verse 11 describes a land watered by heaven's own rain. That's where you are now. This is not the wilderness. It's the place of answered prayers and divine rain. The fog is lifting, direction is clear, and every step you take is lit by God's word. Just as Psalm chapter 119 verse 105 declares, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." You've outgrown who you were. The fear, the self-doubt, the apologizing for existing, it's all behind you. The doors you once feared are now opening because of you, and not just any version of you, but the refined, ready, and released you. This isn't a dream, it's your new reality. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 says, "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." And now He's not only with you, He's gone ahead of you, arranging favor, aligning timing, and opening doors no man can shut. You don't rise for applause, you rise for impact. And this rise, it's not just yours, it's generational. Your surrender is birthing freedom for others. Your yes is shaking foundations. You are the breaker, the one marked to end what has cycled for generations. The fire didn't destroy you, it activated your roar. Micah chapter 7 verse 8 says, "Though I have fallen, I will rise." And your rising comes with weight, with wind at your back, and a future that refuses to look like your past. What once buried you only planted you. What once silenced you only sharpened you. The path you now walk is paved in prophecy. You're not just building, you're becoming a blueprint. You don't need applause. You've got an assignment. You don't need to prove yourself. You've already been approved by God. James chapter 4 verse 10 reminds us, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and He will lift you up." So yes, rise but stay rooted. Let humility hold the crown. Let surrender guide the rise. Because this is only the beginning. There are still mountains to climb, chains to break, voices to heal, nations to touch. You're not rising for comfort. You're rising because of calling. You prayed when no one saw. You held up others while your own dreams waited. And now, the harvest is here. Psalm chapter 1-26 verse 5 says, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy." This is that joy. This is the moment grace lifts the very hands that once lifted others. This rise is loud. It's holy, it's divine, and it's now. Your scars are sacred. Your voice is needed. Your destiny is active. You're not waiting for permission. You're walking in promise. So remember this. God's chosen ones, God gave you the hardest test of all, and you passed it the right way. Chosen one, do you truly grasp the depth of what you've just walked through? This wasn't a minor detour or a momentary difficulty. Heaven entrusted you with the kind of test that shakes the soul at its roots. It wasn't a trial built for the masses. It was one designed for someone whose spirit carries the weight of generations. Why were you the one chosen to face a storm so severe that it silenced even your own prayers? Could it be because heaven recognized a strength in you that this world had overlooked for years? This wasn't about failure. It was never about watching you collapse. It was about revealing the rare kind of resilience that only surfaces under divine fire. Like David standing in front of a giant that mocked armies and insulted God, you didn't shrink. You stepped forward even when no one else believed you could. What allowed you to keep moving when everything in your life was screaming, "Give up"? Was it instinct, or was it something more sacred? Something placed in you before you were even born? There were moments when your knees buckled from pressure, and yet your spirit stood tall. There were nights when your tears baptized your pillow, and yet your hope refused to drown. You carried burdens no one saw. You stayed silent when the lies were louder than truth. But that silence, it wasn't a weakness. It was sacred restraint, the kind Jesus showed when He stood before Pilate and said nothing. Because sometimes the greatest power is in what you refuse to fight. You didn't just pass the test. You passed it with a grace that baffled hell. "I will refine them like silver and test them like gold." Zechariah chapter 13 verse 9 confirms. And just as Daniel refused to bow to the pressure of Babylon, choosing prayer over fear, integrity over compromise, you too held your ground in the den of lions that wore modern faces. What if the pressure you felt was never meant to destroy you, but to reveal you? Juliana, a private violinist in Madrid, was once told by her mentor that she lacked the intensity to ever lead a symphony. Crushed but not defeated, she practiced daily in an abandoned chapel with no applause, no recognition, no guarantees. Years later, during a moment of national mourning, the president requested her specifically because he remembered the sound of her violin echoing through that same chapel when he sat there grieving alone. Her obscurity had become her testimony. Isn't that what your test also did? It built you quietly until the world suddenly needed what your silence had prepared. One of the most powerful voices of our time, Cardinal Robert Sarah, a Guinean theologian known for his defense of spiritual depth in a noisy world, once said, "Silence is more powerful than speech because it is the space where God speaks the loudest." You lived this. While others chased platforms, you built altars. While they shouted for validation, you whispered prayers that shifted unseen atmospheres. What if the proof of your strength isn't in how loud you roared, but in how silently you endured? You weren't just refined. You were realigned. Just as Ruth chose loyalty over convenience, leaving everything behind to follow a bitter widow into uncertainty, you chose faith when logic screamed otherwise. And just like Ruth, your faithfulness is birthing a legacy you haven't even begun to understand. Do you feel that tug in your chest now? That sudden peace after the war inside, that's not a coincidence. It's confirmation. In the wild, eagles are known to fly directly into storms. While other birds hide, they rise using the wind of resistance to ascend even higher. That's you. While others hid from hardship, you used it to rise. You embraced the turbulence not as punishment, but as propulsion. And it carried you to a vantage point where clarity now replaces confusion. And then there's the quiet story of Adrian, a single father in Toronto who lost his wife during childbirth. For years, he worked nights as a cleaner while raising his daughter with nothing but prayer and grit. When asked how he never gave up, he said, "I didn't fight the darkness. I became the reason she would never feel it." Isn't that what you've done? Refused to become bitter, choosing instead to be the anchor for others who lost their way. You didn't merely survive. You passed the hardest test of all, not with shortcuts, not with compromise, but with a spirit so surrendered that even angels stood in awe. You didn't need to announce your breakthrough. You became the breakthrough. Now the world begins to feel the vibration of your victory. Heaven watches now in stillness and pride. God looks upon you not just with affection, but with holy satisfaction, the kind of gaze reserved for those who didn't fold when life collapsed, who didn't curse their calling when it got too heavy, and who didn't abandon their post when the winds roared louder than the promise. You didn't just endure, you overcame it. And now, God declares from the throne room, "This is my chosen one. This one has been tested, and they have not been found lacking." Do you feel that sacred shift in the atmosphere around you? That's the weight of divine recognition pressing upon your spirit. What does it feel like to be seen by the Creator, not just as a servant, but as a partner in glory? Could it be that what you thought was punishment was actually preparation for enthronement? The greatest souls are not born in comfort, they are forged in pressure. Look at Job. He didn't just suffer loss, he was unraveled to the core. He sat on ashes while his friends misunderstood him, while his wife told him to curse God and die. And yet he worshipped. He questioned, but never betrayed. And in the end, the God of recompense restored him twice over. And after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Job chapter 42 verse 10 mentions, why? Because heaven always rewards the ones who pass silently what others would fail loudly. Nelson Mandela, the South African freedom fighter and peacemaker, once endured 27 years of unjust imprisonment. When he emerged, he did not return with bitterness in his voice, but with clarity in his mission to heal a fractured nation through unity. He once said, "I've walked that long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter." Isn't that what you've done? Walk through your own internal prison and refuse to come out with chains on your heart? You were never ordinary. You were marked, and the test you faced wasn't random. It was evidence of God's trust in your endurance. Why would the Creator entrust you with such intensity unless he saw a future so expansive that he needed deep roots to support it? Have you considered that your strength under fire became a sermon the angels couldn't stop watching? Like the story of Esther, a Jewish girl raised in exile, positioned in a pagan palace, hidden until it was time to save a nation. Your obedience in silence has prepared you for sudden elevation. She didn't ask for the crown. She didn't scheme for power. But when the crisis came, she rose. "If I perish, I perish," she said. Esther chapter 4 verse 16 recounts. And with that surrender, she became a deliverer. Could your surrender be writing the same kind of history? I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. Revelation chapter 3 verse 8 promises. Those doors are not metaphorical. They are dimensional shifts. You're not just stepping into a new season. You're stepping into a new realm, one where your past no longer limits you, where delay no longer defines you, where your obedience unlocks what striving never could. Everything in your life has been building toward this. Do you remember the time you almost gave up, but didn't? When betrayal wrapped around your heart like a noose, and yet you forgave anyway. When your bank account said lack, but your spirit said abundance is coming. Every one of those moments sowed something in heaven's soil. And now that soil is breaking open. Amamira, an environmental engineer in Morocco, was once fired after exposing corruption in her company. She was humiliated, blacklisted, and nearly homeless. But instead of giving in, she began planting trees in barren land outside her city, alone, unpaid, unnoticed. 10 years later, her reforestation work became the blueprint for a government-funded sustainability initiative that now feeds thousands. What if your quiet obedience is building something generations will benefit from? Cardinal Christoph Schönborn, an Austrian theologian and editor of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, once said, "When God opens a door, he doesn't do it for your comfort. He does it so your calling can finally breathe." Could it be that the reason the last season felt so suffocating is because your calling was outgrowing the room you were in? Picture a volcano lying dormant for years to the world. It appears lifeless, inactive, irrelevant. But beneath the surface, pressure is building heat. His rising layers are shifting until one day the eruption redefines the entire landscape. You've been that dormant volcano, misunderstood, misread, misjudged. But what was forming inside was sacred energy. And now, it's time to erupt with purpose. You're not entering the future lightly. You're entering as someone who has tasted both the pit and the promise. The pain that almost killed you has become the oil that now flows from your hands. The storms that raged against you were not meant to destroy. They were training grounds. The tears you thought were wasted, they watered roots of legacy so deep that even drought cannot undo them. So now the only question that remains is, what will you do with this favor that no man can deny? Will you walk through the open door timidly, or with the authority of someone who knows heaven stands behind them? Are you ready to stop surviving and start reigning? And now that you stand before that open door chosen one, it's no longer a question of permission. It's a declaration of readiness. You've earned the right to walk through, not with hesitation, but with the quiet confidence of someone who has touched the depths of pain and still chosen light. But what waits on the other side isn't comfortable. It's calling. Because passing the test doesn't end the journey. It begins a new dimension of purpose. Have you ever wondered why the challenges didn't stop after your breakthrough? Why? Even after the storm cleared, your soul still felt stretched. That's because elevation requires activation. You're not just being restored, you're being launched. God isn't simply healing you, He's reconstructing your very foundation so you can hold the weight of what's next. This transformation isn't just spiritual. It will be visible, etched into your voice, your energy, your decisions. It will show up in how you walk into rooms and how those rooms shift without you saying a word. Could that be why people suddenly pause when you speak? Why do strangers confess things in your presence they've never said aloud? Because now you carry the frequency of divine authority. And authority isn't loud. It just is like Moses who returned from Mount Sinai, with a glow so intense that others couldn't even look at him without a veil. When Moses came down from Mount Sinai, He was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. Exodus chapter 34, verses 29 through 30 states, "That glow isn't cosmetic, it's a covenant. You shine not because of what you've achieved, but because of what you've endured without letting it poison your heart. And you're not alone in this transformation. Harriet Tubman, known as the Moses of her people, was a formerly enslaved woman who escaped bondage and then risked her life repeatedly to deliver others through the Underground Railroad. She once said, 'I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves.' Her glow wasn't glamorous. It was a fire born of pain, purpose, and prophetic mission. That's the same fire igniting in you. Now here's the mystery. Why do people feel different around you even if you never speak? Why do atmospheres shift, tension dissolves, and hearts open? It's not personality. It's presence. A man named Julian once worked as a barista in Stockholm. Quiet kind, overlooked. One day, a suicidal customer broke down crying just from hearing him say, "You matter more than your sadness." What Julian didn't know was that the man had prayed minutes earlier. "God, if you're real, send someone to stop me." That sentence from an untrained voice saved a life. Why? Because spiritual authority is felt long before it's understood. You're now walking in that realm. Your test burned away the false self and revealed the divine imprint beneath. And because of this, the enemy panicked. Why else would every attack intensify just before your turning point? Why else would relationships unravel, finances dry up, and your own mind wage war against you? Because hell recognized what you were about to carry and tried one last time to abort the assignment. "I have given you authority to overcome all the power of the enemy." Luke chapter 10, verse 19 confirms. That's not poetic language. It's a spiritual law. And now that authority rests on you, not because of performance, but because of permission granted through pain sealed by perseverance. You didn't just walk through fire. You redefined how fire behaves. You emerged radiant, not scorched. And now you carry an energy that commands spiritual respect. Enemies will tremble without knowing why. Opportunities will open without force. Could it be that your silence during suffering was louder than any scream? Could it be that your patience became a prophecy in motion? Benedict Cumberbatch, acclaimed British actor and humanitarian, once shared how years of obscurity, rejection, and being typecast nearly broke him. But he said something profound. "It wasn't success that prepared me. It was the ache of not being seen." That ache is familiar, isn't it? But now you're being seen not just by people, but by destiny itself. Like the changing color of autumn leaves that no one controls, your shift is organic, divine, and unmistakable. You don't need to explain the glow, just like the trees don't explain their brilliance. They just are. What you're declaring now isn't just your readiness, it's your awakening. And to truly grasp the depth of what just happened, we have to go deeper. The test you passed wasn't simply about enduring pain. It was a sacred initiation into mastery over your emotions, your instincts, and even your thoughts. Because every time you chose to bless instead of curse, to stand instead of retreat, to love instead of close off, you were laying bricks in the foundation of something eternal. Can you feel the difference in your own atmosphere now? Like the air around you bends differently, like heaven listens closer. This is what separates the chosen from the crowd. The world operates on reaction. It expects anger when wronged, revenge when betrayed, and collapse when overwhelmed. But your response rewrote the script. Why do you radiate peace while others are swallowed by rage? Why does your forgiveness sting more than someone else's fury? It's because you mastered the storm instead of letting it master you. Each time you said, "I forgive," when no one apologized, you disarmed the enemy. Every step you took in faith, when logic screamed retreat, was a blow to hell's plan. And that strength didn't come from pride. It came from surrender, from choosing stillness over noise like Jesus did when Satan tempted him in the wilderness. "Away from me, Satan. For it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Matthew chapter 4, verse 10 mentions. That moment wasn't about dominance. It was about clarity, the clarity to say no to illusion. How many times did the enemy whisper, "You're alone. You're forgotten. This isn't worth it"? How many mornings did you battle a heaviness you couldn't explain, and yet you kept showing up with tired eyes but an unshaken spirit? Isn't that the real miracle? Not that you went unheard, but that you remained unshaken. Actor and humanitarian Forrest Whitaker, known for his deep compassion and quiet wisdom, once shared in an interview how rejection early in his career nearly silenced his voice. He said, "They tried to define me before I even knew who I was, but he refused to let the voices around him drown out the one within." He later became not just an award-winning performer, but a global peace advocate. Can you relate to that, the sense that you've had to fight not just for your future, but for your very identity? Sasha, a hospice nurse in Helsinki, once cared for a man who hadn't spoken a full sentence in weeks. On his last day, she sat beside him in silence, holding his hand through the night. Just before dawn, he looked her in the eyes and whispered, "You're not just a nurse. You're proof God didn't forget me." Sasha never advertised her faith. She just loved well, and that love cut through despair like a lighthouse. Isn't that what you've been doing? Shining without shouting. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah chapter 54 verse 17 states. This isn't a poetic cushion. It's a legal decree in the spirit realm, and you've lived it. The enemy crafted strategies, but they collapsed. He orchestrated betrayals, but they exposed him instead. He tried to ruin your reputation, but ended up sharpening your discernment. Could it be that every attack you faced was not punishment, but prophecy in reverse? Your victory is seismic, not just because you passed a test, but because you unmasked a deceiver. The father of lies watched you walk through shadowed valleys and expected to see your faith die. Instead, he saw it multiply, and now he trembles because you didn't just endure. You evolved. You became a vessel he can no longer penetrate. You are walking proof that God's word doesn't return void, that when the storm said, "This is the end," God whispered, "This is just the beginning." You are a miracle, not because of what was spared, but because of what was transformed. What was meant to drown you became the water you now walk on. In nature, diamonds are only formed under intense pressure and heat buried deep, hidden from view for thousands of years. But when revealed, they don't ask for recognition. They simply reflect light. That's you now. You don't need to explain the scars. They've become facets of brilliance. Could that be why people stare a little longer now? Not out of curiosity, but reverence. You've become more than a testimony. You are a tabernacle of survival. Your life speaks on behalf of the voiceless, and your scars are now sacred scrolls. When people look at you, they don't just see resilience. They see resurrection. They see the impossible made possible, not because you never fell, but because you rose with wisdom. So here's the final question, echoing in the spirit. Now that you've seen who you really are, who can stop you? Now that you see who you are chosen in, an unshakable, radiant force forged through fire, the world is about to see it too. And they won't just see your survival. They'll see the shine of someone who weathered a Category 5 storm and came out with wisdom in their eyes and peace in their steps. What happens when someone looks at you and realizes miracles still walk among us? What shifts inside a person when they meet someone whose presence says God is real and He carried me through? Your story is no longer just your own. It's becoming a revival for those on the edge. It's a divine spark reigniting lives that quietly burned out. Why do people stop in mid-sentence around you as if they've remembered something sacred? Why do strangers cry after talking to you without knowing why? It's because your transformation is evidence. And evidence doesn't argue. It simply exists. Let's talk about what's coming, not just in theory, but in timing. You passed the test, and heaven took note. God is preparing to bless you in a way that cannot be mistaken for coincidence. This isn't just about money, though the doors of provision are swinging wide open. This is about fullness, peace in your chest, clarity in your mind, purpose pulsing through your relationships. The kind of joy that isn't triggered, it's permanent. What if everything that once resisted you now begins to chase you? What if the struggle wasn't against delay, but against alignment? You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm chapter 23 verse 5 confirms. Imagine what it does to darkness when it has to sit and watch God bless the very one it tried to destroy. Your enemies will have front row seats, not to your downfall, but to your divine coronation, and they won't be able to stop a single thing. Like Joseph, who was betrayed, sold, falsely accused, and left in chains, his journey wasn't punishment, it was positioning. Every betrayal was a redirection. Every false accusation is sharpening. And when the time came, Pharaoh didn't hesitate. Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God? Genesis chapter 41 recounts. Joseph went from prisoner to prime minister in a single conversation. Have you considered that the very dungeon you were in may be the hallway to your throne? This transformation requires something from you, though. It requires full embrace. Can you release the version of yourself who struggled to believe? Can you leave behind the version of you who carried shame like armor? Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here. 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 17 promises. But if the old is gone, why are you still trying to prove your worth to rooms God never sent you to? Shonda Rhimes. An acclaimed television producer and writer once said during her transformation season, "You can waste your life drawing lines, or you can live your life crossing them." She broke free from self-doubt, fear of rejection, and creative confinement. And from that place of breakthrough, she wrote stories that healed people she'd never meet. What lines are you still drawing out of fear when your story is waiting to be lived beyond them? And then there's Leo, a former gang member in Bogota, who now runs a bakery that employs and rehabilitates young men trying to leave violence behind. What changed him? One night in a cold prison, he had a dream that he was baking bread for angels. When released, he didn't go back to revenge. He went back to purpose. Now every loaf he makes carries a message of mercy. Could your breakthrough carry healing for more than just you? In nature, sunflowers instinctively turn toward the light even before the sun rises. Scientists call it heliotropism. They face the direction where light will be. That's what your soul is doing now, turning toward light even before it fully appears. Your trust is not based on visibility. It's based on knowing that something greater is on the way. Is it possible that your spirit has already said yes to blessings your eyes haven't seen yet? You've stepped into a realm where ease replaces resistance, where blessings aren't begged for, they're attracted. Not because you manipulated outcomes, but because you became magnetic with obedience. Your new identity carries authority. The old you strived, the new you receives. And everything heaven has promised is aligning not randomly, but precisely. So, chosen one, what are you waiting for? Are you still peering through the keyhole when the door is wide open? Are you still apologizing for surviving storms that made you who you are? Or are you ready to feast at the table your trials have earned you? Then this is your moment to act, not just with words, but with a living declaration. Chosen one, we've reached a turning point. And now heaven awaits your agreement. Right now, declare it in faith you are ready. Type it, speak it, believe it. This is more than a gesture. It's a spiritual transaction. When you engage with boldness, you align your body, mind, and spirit with the outpouring God has already prepared. What if this one act of faith is the door unlocking everything that was once delayed? This isn't just about faith in theory. It's about transformation in motion. Because you passed the test, God is now remaking you from the inside out. And the change will be undeniable. You'll begin to feel it before you can explain it. Your body lighter, your sleep deeper, your presence stronger. Could the weight you once carried have secretly become your strength? Could the pain you endured have rewritten your very frequency? People will say you look different, brighter, fresher, younger. But what they're sensing isn't physical only. It's the resonance of God's Spirit radiating from your restored soul. Like Moses, who descended from Mount Sinai, with a glory so intense that others couldn't bear to look directly at him. When Aaron and all the Israelites saw Moses, his face was radiant, and they were afraid to come near him. Exodus chapter 34, verses 29 through 35 mentions, "You carry evidence of an encounter. That glow wasn't decoration, it was a revelation." What if your very face now carries a message heaven needs delivered? And this transformation isn't just about you. It's generational. The victory you've claimed is now turning into the victory others will step into. When they look at you, they won't just see someone who survived. They'll see someone who changed the atmosphere. Do you realize that your presence alone has become deliverance for others? Have you sensed how conversations now shift when you walk in the room? Not because of your words, but because of your weight. British cardiologist and author Dr. Aseem Malhotra once said, "True healing often begins when we address what's unseen." Though speaking of medicine, his words echo your transformation. What healed in your soul is now healing your surroundings. And that's the quiet miracle happening in you, the unseen becoming visible. Clara, a midwife in southern Chile, had suffered 5 miscarriages of her own. She thought her pain disqualified her, but over time her empathy deepened. Her touch calmed laboring mothers. Her words shortened their pain. One patient told her, "You're not delivering babies, you're delivering hope." Could it be that your deepest wound has become the well others drink from? Chosen one, you are catalytic, a ripple outliving your name, like Deborah, whose obedience sparked national breakthrough, as Judges chapter 4 verse 5 recounts her holding court under the palm. Be alert, the enemy disguises old attacks anew, but Ephesians chapter 6 verse 11 urges the full armor of God to stand firm. Your clarity is now armor. Arise and shine, as Isaiah chapter 60 verse 1 commands, illuminating without shrinking. Like the Arctic tern migrating unyieldingly, your spirit is wired for forward-only endurance. You are the answer to cries transformed from healed to healer. Your steps echo in unseen realms, past a training ground, present, an activation future, vibrating with glory. What weapon remains against the light the enemy failed to extinguish? So chosen one, now that you've become the very light hell tried to extinguish what's left to fear. You are fully equipped, not just with wisdom, but with armor, forged in the furnace of trials and sealed in sacred obedience. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. Ephesians chapter 6 verse 11 states. And that's exactly what you've done. You didn't collapse when it got dark. You became the light the darkness couldn't comprehend. And now that you're standing in this radiance, something in you has shifted. There's a new rhythm in your step, a new silence in your spirit, one that intimidates without a single word. Have you noticed how you no longer need to explain your journey? How your presence says what your mouth used to labor to prove? Could it be that the very wilderness that tried to break you has become the altar where your confidence was born? This boldness isn't pride. It's proof that you've passed through the fire without smoke, proof that what tried to burn you only refined your discernment. You're no longer waiting for permission. You've realized that you were never meant to blend in. Your entire journey, the delays, the isolation, the heartbreak, was customized to carve a vessel that could carry weight others would collapse under. Think of David, the overlooked shepherd boy, anointed in secret, tested in silence, and revealed on a battlefield. It wasn't the sword that made him dangerous. It was his intimacy with God. When he faced Goliath, he didn't boast in his skill, but in his covenant. You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. 1 Samuel chapter 17 verse 45 mentions, his confidence was holy. Yours is too. The season you're entering now is marked by abundance, but not just in the material sense. God is releasing provision that matches your purpose. Doors are opening not just for wealth, but for assignment, alignment, and restoration. Can you feel the shift that what once resisted you is now making room for you? And yet, with abundance comes responsibility. From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded. Luke chapter 12, verse 48 warns. The overflow that's arriving isn't for indulgence, it's for impact. God is trusting you with resources because you've proven you won't be seduced by them. You won't hoard the blessing, you'll channel it. You won't chase platforms, you'll build altars. Leah, an architect in Nairobi, was betrayed by partners who stole her firm. Forced to rebuild from scratch, she sketched her visions late at night with no funding, no support. Years later, those same designs became blueprints for sustainable housing across Kenya. Her betrayal became her breakthrough. She said, "What they took forced me to find what couldn't be stolen." Could that be what happened to you? The loss led you to your eternal core. And across the globe, world-renowned violinist Midori Goto offers a real-life example of divine redirection. As a child prodigy, she was thrust into global fame, but quietly battled emotional trauma and identity loss behind the curtains. Instead of letting it destroy her, she transformed pain into purpose. She now mentors young musicians, many from underserved backgrounds, helping them discover not just their talent, but their worth. Midori once said, "Success without soul is empty sound." Could your own success now be resonating differently? Because it carries the frequency of your soul. The truth is, you've become a steward of transformation, not just for yourself, but for all connected to you. You're not rising to stand alone. You're rising to lift others. Every room you enter now carries legacy with it. Every choice you make echoes beyond this moment. Can you feel it? That sense that this is bigger than you. In nature, the African baobab tree towers not just in height, but in purpose, storing tens of thousands of gallons of water inside its thick trunk to sustain entire ecosystems through drought. Your breakthrough is becoming that a spiritual reservoir, an ecosystem of hope. What if the overflow you carry now is designed to feed those who can no longer pray for rain? Chosen one, you've exited survival mode. You're entering stewardship. You're walking in the wealth of revelation, the fullness of identity, and the joy of knowing this is just the beginning. And it's not about arrival. It's about activation. You pass the test. You carry the oil. And now you carry others. And now, chosen one, we must talk about something deeper, something generational. You didn't just win for yourself. You broke something in the spirit that will never bind your bloodline again. What if your test wasn't just a battle, but a baton? What if the strength you displayed in silence is now becoming the foundation your children, your community, and even strangers will stand upon? You are building legacy not with loud declarations, but with decisions. Every yes to God when it would have been easier to quit. Every act of obedience when no one clapped. Every moment you rose again when defeat seemed final. Those choices are becoming spiritual inheritance. Have you ever wondered what will shift in others just because you didn't give up? Your legacy is bigger than a moment. It's an atmosphere. It's what happens when your presence shifts generations. Think about Abraham, who stood before God in one of the most defining tests in Scripture. Asked to sacrifice his son Isaac, he chose unwavering trust. By your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed because you have obeyed me. Genesis chapter 22 verse 18 states, could your obedience be unlocking that kind of generational ripple? And what about modern legacies shaped by fire? Malala Yousafzai, the youngest Nobel Peace Prize laureate, was nearly killed for advocating girls' education in Pakistan. Yet her recovery ignited a global movement. She once said, "When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful." That's legacy. That's what your endurance is doing, not just surviving, but shifting culture. Elijah, a teacher in New Zealand who once battled addiction, now runs a non-profit that mentors teenagers through creative arts and nature therapy. He often tells his students, "My survival was never just about me. It was a signpost for your rescue." His life became a bridge. Could that be what your pain was preparing you for, to become the bridge others don't have to fall through? Something is stirring in your spirit now. Do you feel it? That rising intensity isn't anxiety. It's awakening. That surge of fire in your chest isn't fear. It's the roar of destiny. This is what it feels like when your name begins to echo in spiritual places. This is what it means to step into divine alignment. You are no longer just recovering, you are conquering. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Romans chapter 8 verse 37 confirms. And that's what you are, not just someone who endured, but someone who triumphed with purpose. You're not just a believer, you're a builder. You're not just called, you're carved not by comfort, but by calling. And now God is turning the page. The test you passed wasn't your final chapter, it was your prologue. Every tear, every night of silence, every betrayal that tried to define you, they were merely sentences preparing the storyline for miracles, for divine appointments, for impossible turnarounds. Can you sense it? The atmosphere around your life is beginning to vibrate with favor. You're about to see breakthroughs that have been stored up for years. You're about to walk into rooms your name already arrived in. And the people who once doubted you, they'll witness the fire they tried to extinguish become the torch that leads others out. And just as the monarch butterfly emerges from its cocoon, not immediately soaring, but trembling at first flight, your transformation is sacred. It doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. The shaking in your wings is not weakness, it's readiness. What if this tenderness you feel right now is not instability, but expansion? You are not at the end. You are at the emergence. You didn't survive just to sigh in relief. You were preserved to spark a movement. You are God's evidence in the earth that endurance births elevation. So step boldly into this next chapter, because the best is not only ahead, it has been divinely reserved for you. You are not at the end. You are at the emergence. And part of that emergence is learning to understand the weight of your own presence. Chosen one, because you passed the test, you now carry a spiritual voltage that can't be faked and can't be ignored. It's in your walk, your gaze, your words. Have you begun to notice how rooms feel different when you enter? How silence softens? How people pause? Not because of who you pretend to be, but because of the light you unknowingly carry. This isn't charisma, it's consecration. The test didn't just teach you patience, it awakened power. You walk with divine authority now, and that authority doesn't have to shout. It just is. When you pray, the spirit world responds. When you speak, people hear what their hearts didn't even know they needed. When you intercede, angels are assigned. This is the mantle of the chosen, and with that mantle come gifts, spiritual gifts you may not have even fully recognized before. Discernment so sharp it protects you without words. Intuition that warns you before the danger appears. Compassion so deep it disarms the most hardened soul. Could it be that the fire you survived wasn't sent to destroy your softness, but to refine your sensitivity as a weapon? People are drawn to you often without understanding why. They come for advice, for peace, for something intangible their spirit detects. They see the glow, but they don't know the cost. They feel the warmth, but they never walked through your winter. Yet here you are, not bitter, but brighter. And that light, it's not just a gift. It's an assignment. Like the Apostle Peter after Pentecost, whose very shadow began to heal the sick. People brought the sick into the streets and laid them on beds and mats so that at least Peter's shadow might fall on some of them as he passed by. Acts chapter 5 verse 15 recounts, "Your atmosphere is now infused with divine residue." He didn't plan it. He didn't seek applause. He simply walked and heaven moved with him. Isn't that what's happening to you? Hasn't your walk become a sermon? Hasn't your silence become a signal? Former First Lady Michelle Obama, known globally for her grace, strength, and dignity, under pressure once said, "Your story is what you have, what you will always have. It is something to own." Her journey from the south side of Chicago to the global stage was not just a story of success, it was a testimony of presence. She entered rooms not to dominate, but to dignify. Isn't that the same grace that now follows you? Isn't your story becoming the answer to someone else's doubt? Or take Mateo, a widowed grandfather in Lisbon who began baking bread again after the loss of his wife. What started as therapy became ministry. His kitchen turned into a sanctuary for neighbors, immigrants, students, and grieving parents. he says. The dough rises slowly but faithfully. I think that's how God works. Could your slow rising also be holy? Let's talk about the unexpected blessings now unfolding around you. They're coming quietly but forcefully, a phone call. You weren't waiting for a message that reopens a closed door. A healing in your body you thought would never come. Have you considered that some miracles arrive not when you shout, but when you surrender? These blessings won't always look flashy. Some will come dressed in peace. Others will arrive in opportunities that seem small until they burst open into destiny. What if that new connection is more than friendship? What if it's the partner to your calling? What if that unexpected refund isn't coincidence but divine provision designed to confirm your next step? But here's the truth. Blessings are drawn to belief. And without faith, it is impossible to please God, because anyone who comes to Him must believe that He exists and that He rewards those who earnestly seek Him. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 6 states, "You've sought Him in the drought, and now the clouds are forming. But doubt can dry up what faith was about to release. Are you willing to stay open even when you can't predict the form? Like Elijah standing on Mount Carmel, waiting for rain after a long drought. Go and look toward the sea, he told his servant. And he went up and looked. There is nothing there, he said. 7 times Elijah said, Go back. The 7th time the servant reported, A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea. 1 Kings chapter 18 recounts. That was all he needed to declare the rain is coming. Could your cloud be rising now? In nature, the lotus flower grows in murky water, hidden beneath muck and mire, but it blooms untouched, rising above the filth. What if your faith has been forming in the unseen, and now God is causing it to bloom for the world to witness? So don't shrink, don't retreat. Stay open, stay expectant, stay in position. The blessing isn't just coming, it's already approaching, and the world won't be able to deny that heaven's fingerprint is on your life. You are not just emerging, you are awakening. And part of that awakening is this unfamiliar, beautiful stillness you're beginning to carry. Can you feel it? That calm beneath the surface. That unexplainable peace that doesn't always make sense, but somehow makes everything feel safe. That's not ordinary. That's the evidence of victory. That's the confirmation that something eternal has settled inside you. This is what happens when heaven wraps its arms around someone who has passed the hardest test. You're not anxious like before. You don't flinch when silence lingers. Why? Because you've learned that God is in the stillness. You've walked through storms that would have drowned most. And now you're standing in the afterglow with dry feet and a lifted head. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 4 verse 7 promises. This peace doesn't come from results. It comes from relationship. It's not because everything looks perfect. It's because you know who holds it all together. But here's the divine twist, that peace isn't just for you. It's meant to radiate, to overflow, to spill into every room you walk into. Could it be that your current calm is the answer to someone else's inner chaos? Could it be that your healing presence is now part of someone else's roadmap to freedom? You've been trained in pressure. Now you're called to carry peace. And your life, your very existence, is a demonstration of what God can do with someone who refuses to give up. Remember Jesus sleeping in the storm while his disciples panicked. He replied, "You have little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. Mark chapter 4 verse 39 mentions, that wasn't just power, it was embodiment. That same embodiment is beginning to manifest in you. People are going to encounter you and feel rest without knowing why. They'll talk to you and suddenly feel hope again. Your story, your scars, your stillness, all of it is becoming sacred medicine for a world that's lost its voice. Have you noticed that lately people aren't just asking you for answers, they're asking how you stayed sane, how you stayed soft, how you kept believing. Fred Rogers, minister, educator, and creator of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, once said, Anything that's human is mentionable, and anything that is mentionable can be more manageable. He dedicated his life to creating safe spaces for emotional honesty, but his greatest strength wasn't in what he said. It was the peace people felt just being near him. Isn't that the legacy you're beginning to embody? A presence that disarms without needing to explain itself? Elani, a trauma nurse in Athens, used to battle anxiety so intensely she couldn't drive without panic attacks. But after surviving her own healing journey with God, she now calms patients during emergencies without saying a word. One paramedic once whispered, "She's the quiet that keeps us from falling apart." What if your stillness is saving lives in ways you don't even realize? You're becoming a lighthouse for those still adrift in their storms, not because you shout from the rocks, but because you shine. And that light is starting to draw things to you, opportunities, relationships, resources, but not out of chance, out of covenant. Have you ever paused to ask, what would shift if you stopped doubting your light? What would manifest if you finally embraced your spiritual identity without apology? What would open if you dared to walk as if heaven itself backs your every step? Because the truth is, the world shifts when a chosen one knows who they are. When you walk in, your authority chains start to rattle that you weren't even aware existed. Doors open before you knock. People find healing just by standing next to you. This is the power of divine embodiment. This is what it means to live inside your assignment. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Isaiah chapter 26 verse 3 states, "Your mind has been trained in the furnace. Your faith has been forged in contradiction, and now your trust is producing a peace that doesn't just comfort, it commands." Like the hush before a sunrise, the kind of silence that carries promise, you are stepping into a season where stillness will carry more power than striving ever did. What if your peace becomes a portal? What if your calm becomes the new warfare? You've passed the hardest test, and now the world is about to watch what peace looks like on a warrior. You've entered a realm few ever reach. To stand where you now stand means you've not just endured, but evolved. You've passed the hardest test God could give. And now you're not merely stepping into destiny, you're becoming destiny for others. This isn't the end of a long road. It's the gateway to eternity echoing with your name. What if this moment wasn't just a reward, but a release? What if the heavenlies have already begun announcing your arrival into divine authority? This isn't simply a turning point, it's a transformation in motion. You are no longer just a person with potential. You are now proof of divine promise. God's eyes are upon you, and the Spirit is whispering over your life, "Here is my servant, my vessel, my warrior, radiant and ready." Can you sense it? The atmosphere around you has shifted. The same air feels heavier, pregnant with purpose. Your yes to God has created a ripple that will move through time. You've become a living testimony of what happens when heaven is trusted over logic. But what now? What lies beyond this threshold? The answer is simple and staggering. Ascension not in arrogance, but in divine placement. Your journey is about to take you beyond influence into impact, not just climbing ladders, but establishing new foundations. The test was your crucible. Every insult, every silence, every betrayal you never retaliated against, those were sacred tools in God's hand shaping the steel within your soul. Just as a blacksmith hammers metal to strengthen it, God used pressure to forge resilience inside you. Have you ever asked why it had to be so intense? Why you were chosen for such deep breaking? It's because the assignment ahead requires a vessel that will not crack under glory. David the shepherd who became king was shaped not in the palace, but in the pasture. He was forgotten by men, but remembered by God. His test came in the form of solitude, danger, and defiance. But when the moment came, God said of him, "I have found David, son of Jesse, a man after my own heart. He will do everything I want him to do." Acts chapter 13 verse 22 confirms. That is what your testing revealed, not just obedience, but alignment. And modern-day examples still echo this pattern. Edith Eger, a Holocaust survivor turned psychologist, endured unspeakable suffering in Auschwitz. But later in life she wrote, "I'm here to tell you that suffering is universal, but victimhood is optional." Her entire life became a testimony of rising, of reclaiming power, of showing others how to walk out of their prisons. You too are now showing others how to breathe in places they thought would bury them. Rahim, a formerly homeless young man in Detroit, was abandoned at 15 and lived in his car while working night shifts at a factory. But after he survived, he didn't just get an apartment, he started a foundation to feed others sleeping where he once did. He says that car wasn't a coffin, it was a cocoon. Isn't that what your struggle was, too? A hidden place of transformation the world mistook for your ending. Now your steps are prophetic. You are not wandering. You are walking on divine instructions. You're not repeating the patterns of those before you. You're crafting new architecture for the generations after you. And God has given you vision that won't make sense to others because it didn't come from them. How would your life change if you believed your calling was not just valid, but vital to history? Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1 confirms, you were never meant to walk quietly through life. You were designed to blaze, to awaken, to disrupt stagnancy with spiritual fire. You are not walking into rooms to blend in. You are entering to shift spiritual gravity. And now, heaven is assigning angelic resources to match the weight of your new authority. You are not following a trail. You are leaving one. The fire in your eyes is no longer survival. It is strategy. The world will not know how to explain you, but they will not be able to ignore you. Miracles will mark your footsteps, not just because God favors you, but because you carry His fingerprints. Like the volcano that lies dormant for years only to erupt and reshape entire landscapes, you've been quiet long enough. Now is your divine emergence, and nothing in your past disqualifies you from the eruption of glory ahead. This is what happens when God says now. You're not just released, you are revealed. Not just restored, but repurposed. You're not dreaming anymore, you're demonstrating. Every morning from now on will not feel like survival, but like prophecy fulfilled. When divine fire forges a soul, it doesn't just leave it glowing, it awakens power. That's exactly what's happening inside you right now. The test you passed has unlocked dormant spiritual gifts that are no longer subtle. They're becoming undeniable. Can you feel the shift? Have you recently sensed a clarity in your thoughts? A whisper that guides you even when logic says no? That's your intuition now sharpened by the Spirit. Or maybe you've noticed a strange sense of knowing when something or someone isn't what they claim to be. That's discernment, God's X-ray vision moving through you. Or perhaps people have started opening up to you without knowing why, pulled into your presence like the ocean to the moon. That's compassion, a divine magnet forged in the secret place. These are not hobbies or soft traits. They're weapons instruments of heaven embedded in a soul that has survived fire. You've become a force, a conduit of light, dressed in humanity, and that's why the enemy trembles when your feet touch the ground. You're not loud, but your presence is thunder. You don't speak often, but when you do, it echoes in the spirit realm. Why? Because you've passed the test, and now the heavens recognize your voice. In Judges chapter 6, Gideon was hiding in fear when the angel of the Lord appeared and said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon didn't feel powerful. He felt insignificant, but heaven saw who he really was. That's your story too. You may have doubted yourself in the valley, but God was using that valley to train a warrior who would rise with divine fire. You didn't just survive. You absorbed power while suffering, and now favor has descended on your life like oil poured from heaven's throne. Divine favor is not something you hustle for. It's something you inherit when you align with obedience. Can you imagine doors opening before you ever knock? What if someone who has never heard your name suddenly feels drawn to help you? That's not luck. That's divine favor in action. Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield. Psalm chapter 5 verse 12 mentions, your life is now surrounded by that shield. No agenda, no weapon, no voice of accusation can penetrate what God has sealed. Let me share a story from our time. Viola Davis, the Academy Award-winning actress, once said, I always knew I was meant for something, even when I was in rat-infested apartments and wearing thrift store clothes. Her breakthrough didn't come because she forced her way into Hollywood. It came when she walked in her truth with confidence. And that truth attracted opportunity like a flame draws wind. She passed her test with dignity and the favor found her. So will it be with you. And in a smaller city in northern Italy, a woman named Elisa once ran a failing cafe. She prayed, waited, stayed faithful. One day, a traveler lost his wallet near her cafe and she returned it to him untouched. Turns out, he was a food entrepreneur scouting for franchise locations. That one act of integrity opened an entire chain expansion across Europe. Elisa never expected favor to knock. She just chose righteousness and favor answered back. God is moving people's situations, even delays, around like a divine chessboard to align you with your purpose. He's not just blessing you, He's building a narrative through you. Every surprise encounter, every unexpected invitation, every unopened email that suddenly leads to a breakthrough that's heaven pulling strings you didn't even know existed. But here's the question. Will you stay open long enough to see it unfold, or will you let old doubts choke new blessings? You don't have to see the full staircase. You just need to take the next step. And when you do watch as mountains bow in front of you, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you, your presence will begin to shift atmospheres in boardrooms, hospitals, studios, classrooms. You'll walk in and something invisible will break open. Why? Because divine favor makes the unseen feel tangible. Nature reflects this kind of favor too. Think of the rain cloud that gathers weight for days. When it finally releases, it doesn't ask permission. It pours freely, changing the landscape below. That's what's happening in your life. The heavens are heavy with promise, and now it's beginning to rain. So don't worry about how it will happen. That's not your job. Your role is to remain faithful, walk boldly, stay open, and speak when God says speak. Because when favor comes, it doesn't ask if you're ready. It shows up already convinced you are. You've already proven you have the endurance. But now comes the season where your faith becomes a compass and your vision becomes a flame, the kind of flame that doesn't just light your way, but sets the path ablaze for others too. Chosen one. You're standing at the edge of revelation, not just ready to receive a vision, but to become it. What is it that keeps stirring in your heart late at night? What mental picture keeps returning when you're quiet and alone? That image, that burden, that dream. It's not random. It's a divine blueprint, a living whisper from God Himself, showing you the impact you were born to create. Whether it's a business that redeems broken economies, a foundation that lifts entire families from generational poverty, or a global message that turns hearts back to God, that glimpse is holy. It's sacred soil. You're standing on the ground where Moses removed his sandals. And maybe right now it feels intimidating. Maybe the question is rising, can I really do something that big? But what if you stopped focusing on the size of the mountain and started focusing on the size of the God who placed the vision in you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Deuteronomy chapter 31 verse 6 confirms, this isn't your imagination. This is a commission and you're not stepping into it alone. Have you ever wondered why the test you faced seemed almost unbearable? It's because the vision you're about to manifest will carry a weight of glory few can handle. God had to prepare your shoulders before He placed the mantle. And now He's handing you that vision, not with hesitation, but with confidence, because He knows you're ready. Let's make it real. Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks, grew up in public housing, barely scraping by. But one day he had a vision not just for coffee, but for a third place where people felt seen, safe, and connected. It wasn't just about business, it was about transformation. That vision now exists in over 80 countries and has created millions of jobs. Why? Because he didn't let the poverty of his past limit the abundance of his imagination. That same principle is igniting inside you now. And there's someone else, a man named Kellen, once a middle school janitor in Ohio, kept seeing himself building homes in Africa. Everyone laughed. He couldn't even fix a sink. But he stayed faithful, saving every penny. One mission trip became 5. 5 became a team. That team became a movement. By year 7, they had built over 300 sustainable homes. It wasn't random. It was obedience. You might not build homes, but your voice might build people. Your hands might write songs. Your mind might engineer technology that saves lives. You're not just a person with potential. You're a blueprint come to life. Let's draw a metaphor from nature. Have you seen how a sunflower grows? It begins underground in darkness, but even before it sees light, it stretches. It reaches up because it senses something is waiting. And when the sun touches it, it turns its entire face toward the light and grows taller than any other plant around it. That's you. You've been reaching in the dark, and now the light is here. The world is about to witness what happens when one soul says yes to heaven's vision. But here's what you must guard against counterfeits. The enemy will present safe options. Comfortable jobs, shallow approval, quick money. But ease is not the evidence of calling. Alignment is. Be careful not to choose what looks good over what is truly God. Have you ever walked into a store with a gift card and suddenly realized everything you once thought was too expensive is now within reach? That's what favor does when it partners with vision. The dreams that once felt too far, they start walking toward you. Why? Because you passed the test. And now your obedience is drawing heaven's resources like gravity. Remember Nehemiah. He saw the broken walls of Jerusalem and was grieved. But that grief became the birth of a movement. With one vision, one plan, and divine favor, he rebuilt what others said could never be restored. That's your moment now. You're being called not just to see the brokenness, but to restore it. So let me ask you something. What vision have you been afraid to say out loud? What blueprint has God been quietly unfolding in your dreams? What if your yes today became someone else's salvation tomorrow? You are not here to stay small. You are not called to convenience. You've been handpicked to carry out a plan heaven designed before you were born. And as you move forward, miracles will become your normal and divine acceleration will become your speed. The ground beneath your feet is no longer ordinary. It's prophetic. Every step is a declaration I am walking in my calling, and I will not look back. You see, chosen one, as your vision expands, so must universita your circle. Because you passed the hardest test, God is not only preparing a platform for you, He's also preparing the people who will walk beside you on it. This next chapter of your journey is too big for isolation. It demands divine connection. Let's talk about relationships, not just friendships, but sacred alignments that will transform your path. God is orchestrating divine partnerships, voices that will confirm your vision. Hands that will help carry your burden, and hearts that won't just understand you, they'll honor you. You're not walking into the future alone. You're being surrounded by a spiritual tribe. These people won't compete with you. They'll complete what God has spoken over you. Some of these connections may surprise you. A mentor who once seemed out of reach, a spiritual mother or father who appears at just the right time, a partner whose presence feels like prophecy fulfilled. These aren't ordinary interactions, they are heaven-sent assignments. But with divine increase comes divine pruning. And yes, that part may sting. There are people you once loved deeply who won't understand this next version of you. Some will misinterpret your elevation as arrogance. Others will try to anchor you to a season God has already delivered you from. Don't fight the pruning. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit He prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. John chapter 15, verse 2 states, that includes your relationships. Letting go doesn't mean you failed them. It means you trusted God enough to release what's no longer in covenant with your calling. Remember Lot's wife. She turned into a pillar of salt because she looked back. Some goodbyes are actually divine protections. And to bring it into our world, look at Michelle Obama. Throughout her rise, not everyone could go with her. In her memoir, she reveals that as she stepped into higher realms of purpose, she had to gently release certain friendships and environments. But in their place, God brought connections who matched her calling souls, aligned with the fire within her. That's what's happening to you. The company around you is upgrading because your calling has intensified. Chosen one, your energy has shifted too. This isn't just about who walks with you, but what you now attract. You're carrying a frequency that radiates heaven's authority. Your atmosphere announces your assignment before you even speak. People will feel peace when you enter a room, not because of your personality, but because of your presence, refined by fire and charged with glory. There's something supernatural about the way you now move, the confidence in your stride, the clarity in your yes and your no, the grace in your resilience. This isn't learned behavior. It's divine alignment. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1 mentions, "That's not poetic, it's prophetic, and it's happening now. When you speak miracles, move not because you shout, but because you speak from a well of tested faith. Your words have become weapons. That's why the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort calls into being things that were not." Romans chapter 4 verse 17 confirms. And now he's passed that mantle to you. So speak. Speak life. Speak healing. Speak doors open. Speak mountains into the sea. Because the power of creation is no longer just something you believe in. It's something you carry. Let's bring it down to the natural realm. Think of how Oprah Winfrey used her platform not just for entertainment, but for awakening. She didn't just interview people. She ignited souls. Why? Because her energy was rooted in survival, integrity, and purpose. The world leaned in when she spoke because her frequency carried decades of overcoming. The same is true of you. In nature, this transformation mirrors the aurora borealis, the northern lights. You can't manufacture them. They only appear when the atmosphere is aligned just right, when solar particles collide with Earth's magnetic field in a symphony of light. You are that collision. You've aligned faith with fire, obedience with boldness, surrender with power, and now you're glowing with divine brilliance. You're not just impacting individuals. Your presence will shift entire atmospheres, from family gatherings to corporate boardrooms, from small group meetings to global stages. You're not just walking into rooms, you're consecrating them. But here's the truth. Not everyone will understand the new light you carry. Some will be drawn. Others will be convicted. Still others may be repelled. But you weren't made to fit in. You were made to call others out. So here's the divine charge, steward. This energy with sacred awareness. You're not just a vessel. You're a voltage, a carrier of God's intent. Every word you speak, every decision you make, every space you enter, you're setting things in motion. Chosen one. God is shifting your circle. Outgrow draining ties, embrace divine alignments, and broadcast heaven's rhythm with authority and clarity. As elevation rises, anchor deeply in prayer, worship, and God's word to stay unshakable against warfare disguised as opportunity. Psalm chapter 1 verse 3 likens you to a tree by streams fruitful in season. Your obedience builds a generational legacy, echoing eternally like Abraham's covenant in Genesis chapter 22 verse 18. Blessing nations and unlocking global destinies. God is restoring your joy, turning wailing into dancing, as Psalm chapter 30 verse 11 confirms gladness in quiet moments, unexpected encouragement, and the assurance that the best awaits. Chosen one. God is restoring your joy, clarity and direction, not as a reward for talent, but for your unwavering trust. You passed the test with divine excellence, emerging refined like gold. Proverbs chapter 4 verses 25 through 26 urges you to fix your gaze ahead and walk wisely. Now you see clearly, no longer wandering, but ascending in faith and authority. The silence you endured revealed your strength, overcomer, faithful, ready. From today, walk in quiet confidence, building dreams, shifting atmospheres, and living your divine assignment. Like, share, comment your testimony, and subscribe to join this awakening community. May the Lord bless you, shine upon you, and empower your legacy in Jesus' name. Amen.